If you've heard me speak at a conference or been to one of my panels, odds are high that you've heard me say something like the following: that cars had to be invented and driven around for a while for us to come to realize that adding seatbelts would be a wonderful idea. How we build products, why we build them, and what we think they're for, that's always changed. But these days, developers and engineers who love things like product roadmaps might find the current AI scene a little disorienting. That's because there often isn't a roadmap, and if there is, it's constantly changing. This week, we meet the CTO of IBM Research, who tells us about the current landscape and what she imagines for the future. I'm Jennifer Strong, and this is Shift.
Now here on the steering column is a device called Auto Cruise. You simply set the speed you want.
Self-driving robo-taxis are already on the road in Chile.
As the disk rotates, a mirror reflects the light in the way that depends on how the signal was recorded.
This is the 100 terabyte. I present to you Electro, the Moto Man.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I would say that one of my greatest skills is my ability to interact with humans.
This episode, it's the latest installment of our oral history project. Miro helps teams accelerate through the full innovation cycle, getting from idea to outcome faster. Miro's innovation workspace is an intelligent platform that brings people and AI together in a shared space. It's more than just putting a bunch of ideas on a board. And you can quickly build on your ideas without needing the perfect prompt. The work you're already doing on Miro's canvas is the prompt. Help your teams get great done with Miro. Check out Miro.com to find out how. That's MIRO.com.
From Zuckerman Spader. For 5 decades, Zuckerman Spader has been a leading litigation firm trusted by in-house and outside counsel, businesses, and individuals. With offices in Washington, Baltimore, New York, and Tampa, Zuckerman Spader serves clients throughout the country and around the world in high-stakes disputes, enforcement matters, investigations, and at trial. When the lawyer you choose matters most. Online at Zuckerman.com.
My name is Anna Topol. I'm a Chief Technology Officer and a Distinguished Engineer at IBM Research. I think my major activities in the past was to do a lot of scientific development. And then I realized that we are very good at doing scientific development, and we are not greatest at communicating our scientific acumen. And so I think that the last 10 years was really spent more on working with all different partners, collaborators, people of different ages and capabilities to really figure out how do we communicate the new technology developments, but also get the feedback back. Communicating meaning not just sharing with them what we do, but learning from them as well. As a scientist, of course, I believe that what I do is the most important thing. My research was clearly, but I think I benefited from the fact that I wasn't in academia. I was in corporate organization that makes decisions on, at this particular moment, what they think as a corporate organization that is important. And so how do we cut projects? How do we invest in new projects? What's the strategy? It affects people underneath who are very passionate about their life stakes, our research. Then I also realized that at the end, the knowledge is not just the publications, it's the IP. And I wanted to understand the differences. So I work in the patent and patent strategies and wrote more patents to really understand the process itself. Then I really realized that at the end, you're doing all of this to connect to the client. So I was a CTO for energy and utilities and telecommunications. And what I really wanted to know, is there a difference in deploying technologies at various industries? And I was shocked to see how different it is to talk about technologies in more conservative industries like telco and energy versus talking to CTOs of retail, where they are extremely excited of new technology and deployments. And so I really realized that the background that I have as a scientist may sometimes be very helpful to people who want to see the cutting edge, right, retailers, or sometimes bring skepticism for the more conservative approaches. That, I think, really helped me a lot at the final stage, now that I am back in research. It helps me understand that technology in itself could be incredible. But it's the stewardship of having the right conversation with the people that makes it actual or makes it even progress in the general marketplace. And so I want to learn more. I, continue to talk to people, and I now want to talk not just to scientists. I truly want to see how is the conversation also changing depending if you are in policy, depending if you are marketing, or if you are, person who does not want to hear about technology. My belief is that in our generation, when we were growing up, and by the way, this is not a negative statement, it's just simply the way it was. We very often did not participate in conversations. We were told, the grown-ups are talking now, do not open your mouth. And by the way, you were not even required to listen, you were just asked to be quiet. The new generation, the next generations are much better at actually engaging in conversations. And it doesn't matter which background you are from the earlier ages asked to be asking questions, to be curious. And I think that's what now leads us to where we are. We understand that diverse minds bring diverse questions. And when we bring the technology to life, we cannot just be asking a single question, is it efficient? We should be asking many other questions that relate to secondary and, the next options of usage in the other places. The example as I always give, if you write a patent, you may know the first clause, like this first claim. But if you collaborate with somebody, you will write additional claims that strengthen your patent. And I think that's where we have to be in technology. You don't want to envision the technology doing only one thing. You should be a technology steward thinking what else that technology can do, so then you can channel the development of that technology in the direction that it should be going. Currently, it seems to me, and again, this is in this particular case, it's my particular opinion, that every single time we talk about doing more, we always just simply say we should throw more compute at this. There's like a sense that we can solve everything if we just give it more power. And I think that's where we have all those discussions about usage of energy. AI is disturbing our ability to really be sustainable. I think that it is potentially true at this particular moment of technology development because we're just not very efficient at doing it. And I strongly believe that by the end of the 21st century, we mature enough as a society so that we will use classical compute for basic things that do not need AI. We will know when to use AI without just doing everything with GPUs. We'll find different accelerators and things for inferencing. And by the way, we will also use quantum computing when it's necessary. And what I strongly believe with quantum computers, you can actually, for example, find a better data set with quantum computer so that you more efficiently train machine learning models. So all of this would get us more to the lower adoption barrier, which I think is necessary for us to be sentimental to our, sustainability needs, but also to the need of growing the technology in general.
Ready to turn your good ideas into great results? Miro's Innovation Workspace is a faster way to get there. It helps teams accelerate through the full innovation cycle, getting from idea to outcome faster. Miro's Innovation Workspace is an intelligent platform that brings people and AI together in a shared space. These days, I'm hosting 2 shows and curating the storytelling for several live events. My team can use Miro for road mapping. That is, outlining a product plan over time in a visual way, with key features, milestones, and release schedules. We can also use it to work on new concepts. Miro has been empowering teams to transform bold ideas into the next big thing for more than a decade. Now, They're at the forefront of bringing products to market even faster by unleashing the combined power of AI and human potential. Here's how. Teams can work with Miro to turn unstructured data, like sticky notes or screenshots, into usable diagrams, product briefs, and data tables in just minutes. It's more than putting a bunch of ideas on a board. And if you're like me and worn out by having to master ever more tools in your software toolbox, this is much easier than that. Because you can quickly build on your ideas without needing the perfect question. The work you're already doing on Miro's canvas is the prompt. Help your teams get great done with Miro. Check out Miro.com to find out how. That's MIRO.com.
This show is supported by Odoo. When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
What I think surprises people like me that come from semiconductor, because my original technology development is in semiconductor, is we actually are limited in our mind and thinking is because we came from the industry that developed very slowly. You always needed few years. First you needed 18 months or so to develop the technology. Now it's maybe 12. You were very good at plotting the technology roadmaps, but you were trained that it takes time. And so when you now enter AI, which most of the time people think of it more of the software developments, it's constant, it's always changing. And surprisingly for me, every single time I ask somebody, is there a roadmap? Everybody says, no, each lab is working on something else. And together, we're just following the leaders and we're building things together, which is, and by the way, we adapt both of them for quantum computing. We have a roadmap for hardware, and yet we are very quickly adapting AI development capabilities for software. I think that's the first technology that bridges both. I really see it in a lab. But we need to learn from each other. I think at the end, for AI to succeed, we will need some roadmaps. I almost get to the point when I think is, if we were to charter what we want from AI, knowing that we just want AI to be enabling humankind. Wouldn't we have a path? We want AI to do this and this, but there should be some strategy. And I think where I really value is, of course, the open source community, because for me, anyone who wants to participate in the development of technology has that ability. But that means that it's almost like a tree growing, all different branches at the same time. It's incredible because you letting people to really brainstorm and add their curiosity to everything else. But again, is there a roadmap that would show them maybe we should be all going this direction and having some discussion of which direction we should go? So I think this is like the most intriguing thing for me as it relates to AI. Would we ever have roadmaps?
I love this question because would the map constrain you from going the place you didn't know was possible, or would it help you get there more efficiently? And is it perhaps both at the same time? And so how do you function in that space?
If you have a roadmap, you can be actually better in communicating science to people who are worried about it because you are plotting the development and you have many options to discuss how this roadmap is going. But on the other hand, you don't want to be locked in, as we are right now, in the decisions on policies. Is it locking the development and innovations or not? In semiconductor, it was very easy, is because each company at the end realized we depend on the same vendors. We depend on the same tooling to get to the next and next generation of technology. So we realize, even though we want to have our own development, we are actually integrated together through the ecosystem of partners. The same thing will be true for quantum computing sooner or later, is because maybe the device itself will be proprietary for the company the way they do it. But, cooling system, cabling, everything else you build around will be the various vendors that will build it for us as a community of developers. And so the question, is there something common like this for AI? And I think maybe for me as a hardware person, it's easy to think of it in a hardware space. what would create the ecosystem of vendors for software that are common for everybody, that help builds that roadmap and stepping stones. And you commented on agentic frameworks. Maybe when we get to that point where we have a building blocks for AI in the future, it will be easier to think about this. But right now, I think we're all moving all different modules, moving all different blocks. We are working on standards. We are working on integrations, MCPs, ACPs, A2A. There's all different communities that realize that integration is incredibly important because interoperability of those systems is important. So maybe we don't even think, but we're creating the roadmap. We're starting with standards. We're starting with interoperability. And maybe slowly we will see we charted the roadmap without even knowing. We were doing a lot of neuromorphic. Now we are all on deep learning. Now we are all on neural networks. And it's all because it's the technology of the times. I think it will be interesting to see what new paradigms we deploy. Are we going to go back to neuromorphic? What else are we going to do? I think it's a typical technology life cycle. I think it's the same thing in quantum computing. We hope there will be more research on developing new devices that are incredible. But I think there is a place for research for all those new capabilities. And then there is continuous deployment and scaling. And so on one hand, you will be using the current technology to scale and find more applications and get better at using it. And at some point, the new models, new algorithms, new capabilities will be added, and we will be scaling them too. So it's almost like we're in a parallel track. One track leading, and then we're just observing what else will be added to it. I had the pleasure of meeting here a designer who is from Germany. And we were both reminiscing a moment in our life. In 1987, Photoshop came to life. And it was built for designers and artists because this was supposed to be the next cutting-edge technology, impactful for them to deal with digital images. It was designed for him. And yet designers were so afraid of it. Then, like a flower, it bloomed, right? It went into publishing, it went into advertising, and at the end, it landed on my laptop. And so the question is, was I ever afraid of this technology? No, as soon as it landed on my laptop, I was enabled. Did it take away from his ability to be creative? It was only taking away if he was afraid of it, because his creativity was that fear factor. Now he uses 10,000 digital capabilities and tools, and yet his creativity is what we were talking about this. And I think I always want to say, as the technology comes, it first comes to the environment where it was designed to build. But we all, as a humankind, benefit from the further developments of this technology that touches each one of us. And so I think that it always seems is that the person for which this technology is designed fears the most. At the end, the end users benefit not even knowing that they're gonna benefit. And so how can we have in this roadmap discussions, sideline also, who else gonna benefit? It's my curiosity, right? How do we benefit from technologies for the whole humankind?
This episode was produced by me and Emma Cillekens and mixed by Garret Lang, with original music from him and Jacob Gorski. Thanks for listening. I'm Jennifer Strong.
From PRX.